If you are over 60 and you find yourself waking up at night to use the bathroom, I want you to stop for a moment before you brush that off. Because most people assume it is just aging. Most people assume it is just the bladder getting weaker. And I completely understand why you would think that. It sounds completely reasonable. But here is what most people do not realize. In many cases, it is not the bladder at all. And this is the part that surprises most of my patients when I first bring it up. What many doctors quietly observe is that waking up 1, 2, or even 3 times a night to urinate may actually be one of the earliest, quietest signs that the kidneys are under stress. Not the bladder, the kidneys. And the reason this matters so much is because the kidneys give very few warnings before serious problems develop. They are quiet organs. They do their work without asking for attention. But when they start struggling, they send small, easy-to-miss signals. And one of the most common ones is waking up at night. I want to share this with you today because I have seen this pattern too many times. And I want you to have this information before a small, manageable issue becomes something much harder to address. This is not personal medical advice. I am not your personal physician, and nothing I share today should replace a conversation with your own doctor. What I am sharing is general educational information based on common patterns that many doctors observe in patients over the age of 60. Please always speak with your own healthcare provider about your personal situation. But with that said, let us take a slow, careful walk through what may be happening inside your body at night, and more importantly, what you can do about it starting tomorrow morning. I want you to think back to when you were younger, maybe in your 30s or 40s. Did you ever wake up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom? Probably not very often, maybe after a late evening of drinking a lot of fluids, but it was rare. Now, many people over 60 find themselves waking up once, twice, sometimes 3 or 4 times every single night, and they accept it. They assume it is just part of getting older. They think their bladder has simply gotten smaller or weaker with age. They buy pads. They cut back on water before bed. They make adjustments and move on. And here is the truth. Sometimes, yes, it is related to the bladder. An overactive bladder is real. It happens. In men, an enlarged prostate can cause nighttime urination. In women, changes in hormones can affect bladder function. These are legitimate explanations. But what many people never hear from anyone is that the kidneys may also be playing a significant role. And in some cases, the kidneys may be the primary reason it is happening. So what is the connection? Let me explain this as simply as I can. Your kidneys work around the clock, day and night. Their job is to filter your blood, remove waste, and balance the fluids in your body. They are incredibly efficient organs. Under normal circumstances, they slow down their work at night. This is intentional. This slowing down is part of what allows you to sleep through the night without needing to urinate. But when the kidneys are under stress, when they are struggling for any reason, they lose some of that ability to slow down. They keep filtering at a more active rate during the night. And as a result, your body produces more urine while you sleep, and you wake up. Doctors refer to this pattern as nocturia. That is the medical term for waking up at night to urinate. And while nocturia has several possible causes, kidney health is one of the most important and most overlooked causes, especially in people over 60. Some studies suggest that nocturia affecting 2 or more nighttime bathroom trips may be associated with reduced kidney function in older adults. And the concerning part is this. Reduced kidney function often develops very slowly over many years without causing obvious pain or discomfort. You may feel relatively well. You may not feel sick at all. But quietly, in the background, the kidneys may be losing their ability to function at full capacity. And here is the twist that I want you to hold on to for the rest of this conversation. It may not be your age. It may not be your bladder. The real issue may be something that is quietly happening inside your kidneys right now, and something that can still be addressed if caught early enough. I once spoke with a patient, a gentleman who was 68 years old, a retired teacher from a small town in the Midwest. He came in for a routine check. He mentioned, almost as an afterthought, as he was putting on his coat to leave, that he had been waking up 2 or 3 times a night for the past year and a half. He assumed it was his prostate. His previous doctor had briefly mentioned a slightly enlarged prostate some years back. So in his mind, the case was closed. It was the prostate. He had accepted it. But something made me want to look a little deeper. We ran some blood work and a simple urine test. And what came back showed that his kidney filtration rate was lower than it should have been for his age. Not catastrophically low, but meaningfully reduced. Low enough that, had we not caught it then, it could have continued declining without him knowing for several more years. We made some adjustments. We looked at his diet. We looked at certain medications he had been taking long-term. We looked at his hydration habits. And over the following months, we were able to stabilize things. He is doing well today. But here is what stays with me about that story. He almost did not mention it. He almost walked out the door without saying a word about those nighttime trips to the bathroom, because he had decided on his own that it was normal, that it was just part of aging. Please do not make that same assumption. Now I want to walk you through some of the other quiet signs that your kidneys may be struggling, because nocturia is just one of them, and some of the others are equally easy to dismiss. The first one is persistent tiredness that does not improve with rest. This may seem harmless at first glance. Everyone feels tired sometimes, especially after 60. Life is busy. Sleep is sometimes difficult. There are 100 reasons you might feel fatigued. But here is what is often overlooked. When the kidneys are not filtering waste efficiently, those waste products begin to build up in the bloodstream. And one of the effects of this buildup is a deep, heavy kind of tiredness. Not the kind that a good night of sleep fixes. A kind of tiredness that sits in your bones, that makes you feel like you are wading through something thick, even after a full night in bed. Many seniors describe this as simply feeling their age. They say things like, "Well, I am not as young as I used to be." And that is understandable. But I want you to consider, if you are sleeping enough and still waking up feeling drained, it may be worth having a conversation with your doctor about your kidney function. A simple blood test called a basic metabolic panel can give your doctor important information about how your kidneys are working. It takes a few minutes, it costs very little, and it can tell you a great deal. The second sign is swelling in the feet, ankles, or lower legs. Now, this is one where I want to be careful because swelling in the lower legs can have many causes: heart issues, circulation problems, medications, sitting for too long. So I am not saying that swollen ankles mean your kidneys are failing. That would be both inaccurate and unnecessarily alarming. But here is what many people do not realize. The kidneys play a major role in regulating fluid balance in the body. When they are struggling, fluid can begin to accumulate in the tissues. And one of the first places that excess fluid tends to settle is in the feet and ankles, especially after a long day of being on your feet or sitting in a chair. If you notice that your socks leave deep marks on your ankles by the end of the day, or that your shoes feel tighter in the afternoon than they did in the morning, it may be worth mentioning to your doctor, especially if it is happening regularly. A small, easy thing you can do right now is this. Press your thumb gently into the skin just above your ankle for about 10 seconds. If you press and then remove your thumb, and the indentation stays visible for several seconds afterward, that is called pitting edema. And while it has several possible causes, it is something a doctor should evaluate. The third sign is changes in urine color or foamy urine. This is one that many seniors notice and then quietly decide to ignore because it seems minor and it is easy to explain away. If your urine appears darker than usual, more brownish or tea-colored, or if it appears foamy, almost like you disturbed the surface of a bubble bath, these changes may be worth paying attention to. Darker urine can sometimes indicate that the kidneys are struggling to process certain waste products, particularly a substance called bilirubin or blood compounds. Foamy urine may sometimes indicate that protein is leaking into the urine, which is a sign that the kidney filters are not working as tightly as they should be. Under normal circumstances, protein stays in the blood. The kidneys filter waste, but keep the protein. When protein begins appearing in the urine, it often suggests that the microscopic filters inside the kidneys, called glomeruli, may be damaged or under stress. Now, I want to be very clear. One morning of foamy urine does not mean something is wrong. You may have simply urinated quickly, and the foam was from the force of the stream. That happens. But if you are noticing foam consistently, several times a week, over a period of weeks, that is something to mention to your doctor. A simple urine test can check for protein in the urine in under a minute. The fourth sign is a feeling of pressure or mild discomfort in the lower back or sides. Not every backache is a kidney issue. In fact, most backaches in people over 60 are related to the spine, the muscles, or the discs. So I want to be careful here. But kidney discomfort tends to feel a little different from typical muscle pain. It tends to be felt more deeply under the rib cage on one or both sides of the back, rather than in the lower spine itself. It may feel like a dull ache or a sense of pressure rather than a sharp or stabbing pain. It may not come and go with movement the way a pulled muscle does. If you have been experiencing a persistent, dull feeling of pressure in the area just below your rib cage on either side of your spine, and it has been there for several weeks, it may be worth mentioning at your next appointment. The fifth sign is brain fog, trouble concentrating, or mild confusion. This is perhaps the most surprising one on this list. And this is the part that surprises most people. Many seniors notice that their thinking has become a little slower. Their memory is not quite as sharp as it used to be. They find themselves searching for words mid-sentence. They feel mentally foggy, especially in the afternoons. And almost universally they assume this is cognitive aging, the brain slowing down, which is a real phenomenon, and I do not want to minimize that. But here is something that is not discussed nearly enough. When the kidneys are not properly clearing waste products from the blood, those toxins can affect the brain. The brain is extremely sensitive to the chemical environment of the blood. Even modest elevations of certain waste compounds can interfere with focus, memory, and mental clarity. This is why an advanced kidney disease, a condition called uremic encephalopathy, can develop, which involves significant cognitive impairment. But long before reaching that point, even in early or moderate kidney stress, some people experience milder versions of cognitive fog. If you have been feeling mentally slower than usual and cannot explain it with sleep deprivation, stress, or other obvious causes, it may be one more reason to ask your doctor about checking your kidney function. Now I want to talk about the habits and patterns that many doctors have observed contributing to kidney stress in people over 60. Because this is where this conversation becomes actionable. This is where you move from worry to control. The first habit that concerns many doctors is long-term use of common over-the-counter pain medications. I want to be very careful here because I am not telling you to stop any medication without your doctor's guidance. Please do not do that. But I want you to be aware of something that many seniors do not fully understand. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which are the class of medications that includes ibuprofen and naproxen, are commonly used for everyday aches and pains. Many people take them regularly, sometimes daily, for arthritis, back pain, or general discomfort. What many seniors do not realize is that these medications, when taken frequently over months or years, may reduce blood flow to the kidneys and put them under chronic stress. Some studies suggest that regular long-term use of these medications in older adults may be associated with a gradual decline in kidney function. If you are taking ibuprofen or naproxen regularly, more than a couple of times a week, especially if you have been doing so for months or years, please bring this up with your doctor at your next visit. There may be safer alternatives for managing your pain that are gentler on the kidneys. The second habit is not drinking enough water during the day. This one sounds almost too simple, but it is remarkably common and it matters more than many people think. As we age, the sensation of thirst becomes less reliable. The body's signals for thirst naturally weaken after 60. This means that many older adults spend a significant portion of each day mildly dehydrated without feeling particularly thirsty. And mild chronic dehydration over weeks and months and years places a quiet but real burden on the kidneys. The kidneys need adequate fluid to flush out waste products efficiently. When fluid intake is consistently low, waste can become more concentrated in the blood and in the urine. This increases the risk of kidney stones, urinary tract infections, and over time may contribute to declining kidney function. A simple, easy adjustment. In the morning, within the first 10 minutes of waking up, drink a full glass of water before you do anything else. Before coffee, before breakfast. Just a simple, plain glass of water. This one small habit, done consistently, supports kidney function and helps your body start the day in a better state of hydration. The third habit is eating a diet very high in processed sodium every day. This is not a lecture about salt. I know you have probably heard about sodium many times already, but I want to give you a specific piece of information that may make this feel more relevant to the kidneys specifically. The kidneys are responsible for regulating the balance of sodium in the body. When sodium intake is consistently very high, the kidneys must work harder to excrete the excess. Over time, this chronic overwork may contribute to elevated blood pressure within the tiny blood vessels inside the kidneys themselves, which can gradually damage those delicate filters. The sodium in question is largely the hidden sodium found in packaged foods, canned soups, deli meats, frozen meals, and restaurant food. Not necessarily the salt you add at the table, but the sodium that is already inside the food before it reaches you. A practical adjustment is this. When you reach for a packaged food item, take just 30 seconds to look at the sodium content on the label. If a single serving contains more than 600 milligrams of sodium, consider it a high-sodium food and try to limit how often you eat it. That 30-second habit, applied consistently, can meaningfully reduce the daily burden on your kidneys over time. The fourth habit is sitting for extended periods without movement. Many seniors spend a significant part of the day sitting, watching television, reading, using a computer, riding in a car. And while rest is important, extended, unbroken periods of sitting have been observed by many doctors to be associated with reduced circulation to the kidneys and other organs. The kidneys depend on good blood flow to function well. When circulation is sluggish due to long periods of inactivity, kidney efficiency may also be reduced. A simple solution that costs nothing and takes very little effort. Once every hour, try to stand up from wherever you are sitting and walk slowly for just 1 to 2 minutes. Around the kitchen, down the hallway, out to the backyard and back. This brief movement, done regularly throughout the day, supports circulation and is one of the simplest things you can do for your overall organ health. Set a gentle reminder on your phone if it helps. One quiet alarm every hour, just as a nudge to stand up and move for 1 minute. Now, I want to take a moment to talk honestly about what may happen if these signs are ignored for too long. I want to do this gently and without causing unnecessary fear. But I also want to be honest with you, because I believe you deserve that honesty. The kidneys have a remarkable ability to compensate. They can lose a significant portion of their function and still keep working. This is actually one of the reasons kidney disease is often called a silent condition. Because the body adapts and masks the symptoms for a long time. But this same resilience can work against you. Because by the time symptoms become obvious and impossible to ignore, the damage may already be quite advanced. And advanced kidney disease is much harder to manage than early kidney stress. Some studies suggest that people with significantly reduced kidney function have a meaningfully higher risk of cardiovascular problems, including heart attacks and strokes. The kidneys and the heart are deeply interconnected. What affects one often affects the other. There is also the question of independence. This is something I think about often when I speak with patients in this age group. One of the most important things to most people after 60 is the ability to live independently, to take care of themselves, to not be a burden on their children or their family, to stay active, mobile, and mentally clear. Significant kidney decline can threaten all of those things. It can lead to chronic fatigue that makes daily tasks feel overwhelming. It can lead to fluid retention that makes it painful to walk. It can affect cognitive function in ways that feel like aging, but are actually driven by toxin buildup. And in its most advanced stage, it may lead to the need for dialysis, which is a life-altering treatment that requires visits to a dialysis center several times a week. I do not say this to frighten you. I say it because I want you to understand why the small signs I described earlier matter so much. A nighttime bathroom trip, foamy urine, puffy ankles, bone-deep fatigue. These are not just nuisances. These may be your body sending you a message that, if heard early, can still lead to a very good outcome. Now let us talk about the other path. The path where you take notice, you take action, and things improve. The good news is that many cases of early or moderate kidney stress can be stabilized and even improved with the right care. The kidneys have some capacity for recovery, especially in the earlier stages of decline, if the underlying stressors are removed or reduced. Doctors have seen patients stabilize their kidney function through a combination of better hydration, dietary adjustments, blood pressure management, careful medication review, and regular monitoring. These are not extreme interventions. They are manageable lifestyle adjustments paired with attentive medical care. The most important first step is simply getting the information. A simple blood test that measures your creatinine level and estimates your glomerular filtration rate, which your doctor may call your eGFR, gives a meaningful picture of kidney function. A urine test that checks for protein can add additional information. These tests are routine, inexpensive, and widely available. If you have not had your kidney function checked in the past year, I would encourage you to ask your doctor about it at your next appointment. You can simply say, "I've been reading about kidney health, and I would like to check my kidney function." Any good doctor will be glad to do that. And if your numbers come back normal, wonderful. You have peace of mind. If they show something worth addressing, you have caught it at a time when something can still be done. Either way, you have gained something valuable. Before I close, I want to leave you with a few simple daily habits that many doctors suggest for supporting kidney health after 60. Not dramatic changes, not extreme diets, just small, consistent, practical things that support these remarkable organs over time. Drink a full glass of water first thing in the morning, before coffee or anything else. This takes about 30 seconds and starts your body hydrated. Stand up and walk slowly for 1 to 2 minutes every hour during the day. This supports circulation to the kidneys and every other organ in your body. Take 30 seconds to look at sodium levels when choosing packaged foods. Aim to choose options lower in sodium when you have the choice. If you use over-the-counter pain medications regularly, mention this to your doctor and ask whether there are alternatives that may be safer for your kidneys long-term. Pay attention to your urine. If it is consistently dark or consistently foamy, make a note of it and mention it to your doctor. And if you are waking up 2 or more times a night to use the bathroom, do not simply accept it as aging. Mention it at your next appointment. Ask whether kidney function should be checked. It is a simple question that could matter enormously. I want to close with something important. The kidneys are not glamorous organs. They do not get the same attention as the heart or the brain. People rarely think about their kidneys until something goes wrong. But they are working for you every single day, every hour, every minute, quietly in the background, keeping your blood clean, your fluids balanced, and your body functioning. They deserve your attention, not fear, not obsession, just a little attention, a little awareness, and a willingness to ask a few simple questions. You have spent decades taking care of the people around you. You have worked hard. You have been responsible. And now, in this chapter of life, one of the most important things you can do is turn some of that care toward yourself. Waking up at night is not just a nuisance. It may be a message. And the most powerful thing you can do today is decide to listen. Please speak with your doctor. Ask the questions. Get the tests. And if everything looks fine, rest easy. But if something is found early, be grateful that you caught it in time. This is general educational information and is not a substitute for personalized medical advice from your own healthcare provider. Every person is different, and only your own doctor can evaluate your specific situation.